Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Simon's Book Club, where we talk about some of the best books by the most brilliant minds in neuroscience, psychology, well-being, compassion, relationships, and mindfulness, and we'll unpack loads of ideas that are just good for the body. We're on the second half of this deep dive into How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Feldman Barrett. A quick recap of how we got here. So we came to this book after nonviolent communication, which taught us to stop telling others what's wrong with them. And instead of judging and criticizing and blaming and shaming others, we can connect with them more by talking about what's alive in us and what we're feeling and needing. But talking about what we're feeling is more difficult than it sounds. And so we got into this book written by the world's leading scientists in the study of emotions. Lisa Feldman Barrett starts off the book by dismantling some of the old-fashioned and outdated myths about emotions that we were taught that are still pretty widespread. It's about time for you to get with the times and with what modern neuroscience is showing us. Emotions aren't universal. Not all people feel emotions in the same way. We don't have regions of our brain dedicated to emotions. Instead, we learn emotions through a three-piece recipe that connects the words that we've learned for emotions, along with the external situations we've heard for these words, and lastly, the internal situations that our bodies were physically feeling at the time. Whenever we experience an emotion, it's our brain predicting what to do based on past experiences, and then recreating this recipe from these three ingredients. Now, at this point, we've arrived at a bit of a problem. One of the main ingredients of an emotion is our interoception, what we're feeling on the inside. But our emotions and these feelings can be so easily confused with other shit that our bodies are going through. So how can we be sure about our feelings? Are you really feeling upset? Or did you just not eat for a few hours? Are you truly feeling pensive? Or is Mercury just in microwave? I'm joking. Astrology is bullshit. The point is, really, our emotions are deeply tied in with what is known as our body budget in Lisa Feldman Barrett's terms, or nervous system regulation in Instagram guru terms. The problem is, many of us aren't doing what we need to do to replenish the body budget, to rebalance our nervous systems, and we're operating in a deficit. Our body budget is in the red. And if you don't think this applies to you, then I'd like to know, how many of these things are you doing? Are you regularly sleeping 8 hours a day and going to bed at the same time every night? Are you exercising vigorously for an hour 4 days a week? Are you eating healthy and really healthy? Are you connecting deeply with friends and feeling truly understood and heard? Is your career fulfilling your sense of meaning and purpose? Are you meditating for at least half an hour a day? Are you having great sex? Are you regularly out in nature and getting lots of sunshine on your skin? Now, if you are doing all these things, how the fuck do you find time? Majority of the people that I know can't do all this because they have jobs. I don't know anyone who's getting all these things done. I don't have a job. I don't have a job. I don't have a job. And I've made a rigorous, conscious effort to get all of these done regularly. And there's barely enough time in the day for me to do anything else. And so, the majority of us are going to be experiencing emotions that are probably muddied with signals from a body that's really in need of care. The evidence for our emotional signals is contaminated, so to speak. It's like looking for fingerprints on a crime scene without using gloves. We've seen CSI. We know that's not a good thing. And so often, whenever we feel urgently emotional about something with our body budgets out of whack, then we wind up saying like, I sent you that text message 4 hours ago. Why didn't you respond? Or something like, you pay more attention to your friends than you do to me. And countless other ways in which we blame other people for the shit that we're feeling, while instead, I think when we feel an emotion, it'd be a lot more loving and kind to look at ourselves and say, have I been taking care of you, body? Are you doing all right? What's going on? What are you feeling? What do you need? How can I take care of you? And to offer ourselves love and kindness instead of shaming and pressuring people into dutifully making us feel better. It's our responsibility, not anyone else's. But no, instead of that, and instead of being kind to our bodies, we find reasons to be upset with others and to ignore what's happening inside of us, and to pay too much attention to solving the problems out of the thoughts that emerge from a stressed out body that's in need of care. Now, here's what I find that's tougher for me to process. Society isn't built for us to have enough time for us to take care of ourselves. Capitalism pushes us to grind till we die and to sell our well-being for someone else's profit when they already have more than they will ever need for the rest of their lives. Work sucks. I don't really have any examples of anyone financially successful that hasn't deeply sacrificed their own health or relationships in the process. Money is more important than well-being because we can live without the latter, but we can't survive without the former. The things we work so hard to be able to afford, we all know, don't really make us feel good for so long. The people that I know with big houses and nice cars are totally drained, and some of them are emotional wrecks. We've been oversold on the promise of what money can offer us and have traded away the time we needed to actually heal, traded our time for trinkets. Now, most of this video, I've been whinging about problems, which I'm conveying kind of as insurmountable, I'm sure. So now I'd like to take off this little doom and gloom hat that I have on, focus on solutions. Lisa Feldman Barrett has a whole chapter on solutions with many ideas. The first and the most important one she suggests is advice that you kind of already know.
What can you do, practically speaking, to keep your predictions calibrated and body budget balanced? I apologize if I suddenly sound like your mother, but the road begins with eating healthfully, exercising, and getting enough sleep. I know, it sounds mundane or even trite, but sadly, there is no substitute, biologically speaking. A body budget, like a financial budget, is easier to maintain when you have a solid foundation. When you were a baby, your caretakers entirely managed your body budget. As you grew, they gradually transferred more and more responsibility for maintaining your budget to you. Today, your friends and family might pitch in a little, but its nourishment is pretty much up to you. So to whatever extent you can, eat your greens, go easy on the refined sugars and bad fats and caffeine, work out vigorously and regularly, and get plenty of sleep.
I agree with her, and I think that's actionable by all of us. I'd love for it to be possible for our days to have enough time for all of the self-care that we need and for our careers to be of meaningful work as well. And while that utopia might not be a possibility in our lifetimes, I do still think that there's always one small thing we could do for our health that could move our body budget deficits a little more towards being balanced. Just because we can't get all of the benefits doesn't mean we can't get some of the benefits. For those of you who read Atomic Habits, you know that a 1% change compounds over time. While a revolution in the world would be nice so that our well-being isn't sacrificed for greed, that's not likely to change anytime soon. Nuh-uh, sure isn't. So what is in our control is that small changes add up as well. I won't suggest the things that you could do to improve your health because I'm sure you've already heard them all already, but I'd suggest to pick something that's not too difficult for you to adopt into your lifestyle, that's good for your well-being. And over time, you'll have a better chance of mastering your emotions. New year, new you. Okay, enough talking about health. The second major action that the author suggests to master our emotions is to learn more emotional words or to beef up your emotional intelligence.
After attending to your body budget, the next best thing you can do for emotional health is to beef up your concepts, otherwise known as becoming more emotionally intelligent. People with a classical view mindset think about emotional intelligence as detecting other people's emotions accurately, or experiencing happiness and avoiding sadness at the right time. With our new understanding of emotions, however, we can think about emotional intelligence in a new way. Happiness and sadness are each populations of diverse instances. Therefore, emotional intelligence, or EI, is about getting your brain to construct the most useful instance of the most useful emotion concept in a given situation. and also when not to construct emotions, but instances of some other concept.
Learn emotional words in other languages, like saudade in Portuguese, which is the sadness you feel from nostalgia. Or watch Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart, where she goes over a lot of emotions and explains them. Having a common vocabulary for emotions and developing more emotional granularity will help us connect with others more deeply. And statistically, it leads to greater success in many fields. Why? Because our emotions aren't meant for us to feel on our own. We're meant to connect with each other. Our bodies are built for connections. And the more tools we have with which to connect, the better. Now, there are a couple of problems with emotional intelligence, though, and here comes my complaining hat again. Woohoo! All aboard! More complaining. I'm not sure if we'll all be taught the same emotional words in the same way. Emotions are highly subjective. Now, in science, E equals MC squared, no matter what language you speak. But anger for you, wherever you are, is different than it is for me, a Polish Canadian who spent over a decade in Asia and now lives in Portugal. My emotional references are all over the place. I don't know how we could both learn emotional concepts and speak the same language. I'm reminded of one of my favorite lines from In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson, which goes, "Sometimes I hold it half a sin to put in words the grief I feel. For words, like nature, half reveal and half conceal the soul within." Super nerdy, wasn't it? I love it. Words aren't a 100% effective tool to express ourselves and to understand one another. And if you saw the last video, Buddhist practice almost seems to advise against developing more emotional concepts. So what more can we do? How can we connect with others when words are getting in the way of our connection, and yet they're the best tool that we've got? The answer to this question is something I'll tell you in part 6 over on my channel, Simon's Book Club. Ooh, what a cliffhanger. Mwah, delicious. This is a good one. I'm going to teach you a new language for mastering your emotions. One that was hinted at in the book, but one that I didn't see the author really use as a solution to this problem. And it's a great one. So come join me. And let me know what you think of these ideas so far. How do they resonate with you? How do they feel in your body? Head on over to the Discord, where we've got a lot of really intelligent and very articulate people sharing the ideas that they're grappling with. And we're all doing this with the spirit of curiosity and nonviolence. The people there are really lovely. Otherwise, if you've been finding these ideas interesting, then you're going to love the next book we're discussing, which is Anil Seth's Being You, A New Science of Consciousness, which greatly builds off and complements a lot of the ideas that we're discussing here. Get a head start on that before we dig deep into it, and we're going to dig deep. The ideas there are really going to change the way that you see yourself and the way that you see the world. I'll see you soon. Mwah. For some, happiness is a sustained, positive, low arousal calmness. While for others, happiness is experienced in moments of high arousal, like the happiness we feel when we get a promotion,